Lobo on the drum. Yeah.
Recording in progress.
You are on.
Good evening. The meeting of the Committee on Student Achievement and School Innovation of the Board of School Directors will please come to order. Will the Secretary please call the roll?
Director Carr.
Present.
Director Garcia.
Present.
Director Gokul Gandhi.
Present.
Director Leonard.
Present.
Chair Simpson.
Present.
We have 5 present.
Thank you. I know this is appropriate time to note that Director Peterson has also joined us. I will now ask the chair to lead us in the recitation of the Pledge of Allegiance. Members, please mute your devices.
Okay. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Due to the contingencies of the COVID-19 public health pandemic, MPS buildings are closed to the public, and this meeting is being conducted virtually. Board members may be participating from the Central Services building. In order to allow as much public participation as possible, this meeting is being broadcast on radio station WYMS 88.9 FM via live stream on the MPS website and on the MPS YouTube stream, the links to which can be found on the MPS website on the broadcast page. Before we begin tonight's meeting, we have a short announcement regarding interpretation services for the Spanish-speaking members of our audience.
Buenas noches. Esta junta se transmitirá en español para aquellas personas que lo necesiten. Si desea escuchar esta junta en español, por favor marque al teléfono 312-626-6799 y ponga el número de la junta 608-130-5362. Le repito, marque al teléfono 312-626-6799 y ponga el número de la junta 608-130-5362. Muchas gracias.
Thank you. For each of our items of business, we will hold a discussion and public hearing. Individuals who wished to speak on tonight's items were required to register in advance. I ask those who are waiting to speak to remain on the platform until you are called upon to speak. Just as a reminder, Robert's Rules of Order dictate that all comments should be directed to the chair of the committee. Also, any questions or requests are to be directed toward the chair, who will determine the most efficient way to address them. All members are asked to state their name and spell their last name before proceeding with their comments. Each speaker will have 2 minutes and 15 seconds to speak. After a speaker's time is up, they may continue to follow the meeting at one of the broadcast options mentioned previously. To ensure the good order of the meeting, harassment or intimidation tactics of any kind, including inappropriate language, will not be tolerated. The chair reserves the right to remove anyone engaging in such behavior from the platform. Those removed from the platform may continue to listen to the meeting or access the agenda items online. However, he or she will not be able to rejoin the platform. Written testimony may be submitted to the Office of Board Governance, P.O. Box 2181, Milwaukee, Wisconsin 53201-2181, or fax to 414-475-8071, or email it to governance@milwaukee.k12.wi.us. Also, for our listening audience, if you wish to access this evening's agenda items and attachments online, you may do so by visiting esb.milwaukee.k12.wi.us. Now, let's begin. Madam Secretary, what is item number 1?
Item number 1 is action on a request to approve submission of the contracts for the Achievement Gap Reduction Program, the AGR program. The recommendation is that the board approve the submission for the 2021 through 2026 years of the application for the Department of Public Instruction.
Will administration please present the item?
Good evening, Chair Simpson and members of the committee. Keith Fosley, Superintendent of Schools. We're requesting your approval to submit the AGR program application to DPI. At this time, I will ask Chrissy Washington to provide us with an additional information, and afterwards, we'll be happy to answer any questions that you may have. Chrissy.
Good evening, Chair Simpson and other members of the committee. As has been mentioned, I am Chrissy Washington, the Achievement Gap Reduction Coordinator, and I'll be providing for you some background information regarding this request. The Achievement Gap Reduction Program was established in the 2015-16 school year after then Governor Walker signed the 2015 Wisconsin Act 53 into law. This act, along with Act 71, outlined the transition from the Student Achievement Guarantee in Education, SAGE program, to the Achievement Gap Reduction, AGR program. This transition was fully implemented at the beginning of the 2018-19 school year for all participating schools with eligible SAGE contracts. Thus, they were allowed to roll over and transition into an AGR contract. The purpose of AGR is to improve achievement, academic achievement, and decrease academic gaps. It allows participating schools to meet the obligations of its 5-year contract by implementing one of 3 strategies or a combination of those strategies in every kindergarten through grade 3 classroom. These strategies include one-to-one tutoring, instructional coaching for teachers, and the maintenance of a small class size of either 18 students to 1 teacher or 30 students to 2 teachers. For the Milwaukee Public Schools District, the following school improvement strategies are implemented within 63 traditional and 1 non-instrumentality charter school. They include instructional coaching for teachers provided by a licensed teacher in grades 5-year-old kindergarten through 3rd, as well as the maintenance of a small class size of 18 students to 1 teacher or 30 students to 2 teachers within 5-year-old kindergarten, as well as providing professional development on small group instruction. As such, all school districts that participate in the AGR program are to submit a 5-year renewal contract application to the Department of Public Instruction. The process is to complete this application. Each school is to report the strategies that are implemented to close the achievement gaps between low-income students in that school and students in the same grade, in addition to providing specific and measurable performance objectives in the areas of reading and math. For MPS, the achievement gap closure data used to establish each AGR school's performance objective goals is derived from trimester 1 and 2 English language arts and math report card data reflective of priority content standards for 5-year-old kindergarten through 3rd grade. Overall, the goal is to increase the number/percentage of students that are reaching proficiency on the standards in their grade level courses throughout the school year, as well as over their 5-year contractual period. As such, year-to-year progress on reducing achievement gaps is reported 2 times to the board. So, once renewal applications are completed for each school and the board approves the submission of them, the AGR office will forward every 5-year renewal contract application to the Wisconsin Department of Public Instruction by the June 15th, 2021 deadline. As has been mentioned, the contract term is set to begin July 1st, 2021 and end on June 30th, 2026. This concludes the overview of this item. At this time, administration will respond to any questions you may have. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Do committee members wish to make comments or ask questions? Seeing no. Director Peterson.
Thank you. I just wanted to mention that this program initially, as was mentioned, it started as a SAGE program, and that program was incredibly successful in the sense that it was in many schools, and the classroom size was reduced from K-5 kindergarten up to third grade to 1 to 15, and then it was expanded to 1 to 18, and it was a state-funded program. What happened, though, is that the state legislature never increased the funding based on inflation, and so over the years, less and less could get funded, and ultimately they had to change it to the AGR program and give schools more flexibility because it was impossible. But it shows the power of state funding, and we certainly welcome the AGR funding and this proposal, but it'd be nice to have the state actually intervene and provide sufficient funds to really reduce class size. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Peterson. Madam Secretary, do we have any public comments on this item?
Madam Chair, we have no requests to speak on this item and have received no written testimony.
Thank you. What is the pleasure of the committee with respect to this item?
Chair Simpson, I move to approve this item.
Thank you, Director Gokul-Gandhi. Is there any further discussion? Will the Secretary please call the roll?
On Director Gokul-Gandhi's motion to approve the administration's recommendation for submission of the contracts for the Achievement Gap Reduction Program. Director Carr?
Aye.
Director Garcia?
Aye.
Director Gokul-Gandhi?
Aye.
Director Leonard?
Aye.
And Chair Simpson?
Aye.
That's 5 ayes. The motion passes.
Thank you. Madam Secretary, next item, please.
Item number 2 is action on approval of the English Language Development, the ELD standards. The recommendation is that the board approve the standards as attached to this item.
Administration, would you please present this item?
Yes, Chair Simpson and members of the committee, in alignment with the DPI regulations, the administration brings before the board at the start of the school year previous adopted academic standards. The English Language Development Standards before you this evening were just recently approved by DPI, and therefore we are requesting adoption by the board. At this time, I will ask Lorena Gainey to provide an overview of the standards. Lorena.
Good afternoon, Chair Simpson and members of the committee. My name is Lorena Gainey, Manager, Department of Bilingual Multicultural Education. One of the main functions of the ELD standard is that we remind educators that ELA instruction is comprehensible with explicit language development support. ELA skills and knowledge are not automatically differentiated for students on a range of English proficiency, and the ELD standards will support this type of differentiation for all ELs at an adequate space, since English language development is a process without a set timeline for a student whose first language is not English. The Department of Bilingual Multicultural Education will be offering professional development and the ELD standards. These professional developments are divided into 4 parts. Part number 1 refers to the foundations of educating English learners. This PD entitles Definition of English Learners, District and School EL Demographics, acronyms related to English language development, and how they fit into a system of culturally responsive practices, English language proficiency levels, and parent communication. Part 2, World Class Instruction Design and Assessment WIDA, ELD Standard Framework 2020 version. This professional development presents an overview of the framework from WIDA Consortium. Points of interest include the big ideas of the ELD framework, the ELD standards, language expectations, and English proficiency level descriptors. Part 3 is the ELD Instructional Planning Tool. This PD defines the essential components of ELD instruction, as well as to how to implement the tool when planning integrated content and language instruction. The tool can be a standalone document, placing it side by side with a content unit, or teachers can add the ELD components directly into an existing content unit. And part 4 is the ELD standards, implementation in the content areas, strategies, and supports. English learners succeed when they receive rigorous instruction accompanied by a high level of support. This PD will present a wide repertoire of strategies and supports that promote English language development of learners at different levels of English language proficiency and any content or specialty area. This concludes my overview, and at this time I'm ready to answer any questions that you may have.
Thank you so much. Do committee members wish to make comments or ask questions?
Sorry, my keyboard's a little sticky, so just
That's
bear
okay.
with me.
Yeah, Vice Chair Garcia.
Hi, and thank you, administration, for that insightful kind of breakdown of what the professional development will look like. And I know that this right here is tied to our goal for ambitious instruction. So I'm glad to hear a little bit more about how the professional development is broken up into the different sections and what the content focus will be. I just wanted to get a little bit more clarity and information as to how exactly the plan for, support in, administration to roll this out, how teachers are going to be kind of learning about this. Because I think that, DPI is putting forth, I think this is a good idea, as someone who benefited greatly from ELL instruction, I know what a well-implemented and supported program can lead to. And I guess with this, being new layers that we are adding on to ensure that quality and, and business instruction is being achieved, by our educators, if you can just share a little bit more about as to, just kind of like what that would look like, a timeline around that, because I think that would be very insightful, for folks, here on the board, as well as folks listening in.
Thank you. Administration.
Vice Chair Garcia and members of the committee. Yes, we have a plan that we can, definitely provide you with later on. But the plan starts with training or giving PDs to all of the ESL teachers in the district. Because they need, since we do have new ESL teachers, they do need to be familiar with how this is going to be implemented. Along with that, also content area teachers, since this will be for the entire district, we will also be providing professional development for all teachers in non-program schools. And we certainly have also administration included in the plan, as well as special education teachers and so on. So we do have a plan that is going to be done probably 2022, 22, 23 with everything we have in there. With that, we are including also starting with 4 pilot schools where we can really, given the explicit, development of how they can start and then make them models and then add in 2, 3 schools every year for one of with all of the schools that we have that have ELs in them. So we do have the plan starting with ESL teachers, continuing with content area teachers, doing collaboration, because this is going to take a lot of collaboration from part of the teachers as well. Then administrations and giving all of the information to the regional superintendents as well for support.
Thank you. Vice Chair Garcia, do you have a follow-up?
Not at this moment. I think it will be very helpful if we can see a rollout plan for this, and then maybe there'll be more questions. But I think this is good starting point for me.
Thank you. Do any other members of the committee have a question at this time? Seeing none. Madam Secretary, do we have any public comments on this item?
Madam Chair, we have no public testimony on this item.
What is the pleasure of the committee with respect to this item? Director Leonard.
I move approval of the item.
Wonderful. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, will the secretary please call the roll?
On Director Leonard's motion to approve the administration's recommendation of the English Language Development Standards. Director Carr,
Aye.
Director Garcia,
Aye.
Director Gokul Gandhi,
Aye.
Director Leonard,
Aye.
and Chair Simpson.
Aye.
That's 5 ayes. The motion passes.
Madam Secretary, next item, please.
The next item is item number 3, action on the approval of the selection of the textbooks and instructional materials for grades K through 8 literacy, including bilingual and English as a second language, the ESL, for textbooks to be used during the 2021-22 school year. The recommendation is that the board authorize the administration to select the textbooks as outlined and detailed in this item and begin the negotiations and implementation process, including related supplementary materials such as teacher manuals, resource guides, and other online resources.
Thank you. Will administration please present the item?
Yes, Chair Simpson and members of the board. First off, I would like to thank the many individuals who contributed to this process that has come to fruition with the recommendation of literacy textbooks and instructional materials. At this time, I will turn it over to the team for some brief comments on the process and the recommendation or the recommended text and materials, and after which we'll be more than happy to entertain any questions that you may have. Tanya Evans.
Chair Simpson, members of the committee, my name is Tanya Evans. I am the District Reading Curriculum Specialist. I'd like to begin by thanking all the teachers who served on the Literacy Textbook Adoption Committee, especially during the reopening. Their plates were already full, but they were willing to take on this task, and they were very committed, and they did a phenomenal job. I'd also like to thank the parents, the staff, and students who viewed the materials. And last but certainly not least, I'd like to thank my colleagues, Sarah Borges and Rocio Trejo, who helped lead this process. And an extra special thank you to Rocio. She has been so helpful. We could have done it without her, but it would have been a lot harder. So thank you so much, Rocio, for all your support. The following are details about the process used. There were 6 review committees, K2, 3-5, and 6-8 for English and Spanish. And then we had K2, 3-5, 6-8 teams for the ESL committee. All included diverse representation from schools across the district and met over a 6-week period to review the proposed resources. In addition to a culturally responsive scorecard, each committee used scorecards to review resources as it pertained to standards and components specific to each area. For example, our K2 team, they were looking for, did the resource provide systematic phonics instruction? Did it provide assessments for foundational skills? In addition to the teacher review, parents reviewed the resources and through the lens of cultural responsiveness. All resources were available for in-person review at North Division and South Division for a 3-week period, April 12th through April 28th. This was open to the district and the public and was communicated through Thursday updates. We also sent information out on the school support teacher listserv and the parent coordinator listserv. After extensive review and discussion, the following recommendations are being made. For English, kindergarten through 5th grade, the recommendation is for Houghton Mifflin Harcourt into reading. For English, 6th through 8th grade, the recommendation is for Houghton Mifflin Harcourt into literature. For Spanish, K through 6th grade, the recommendation is for Houghton Mifflin Harcourt, Arriba la Lectura. For Spanish, 7th through 8th grade, the recommendation is for Vista Higher Learning, Galeria de Lingua El Cotro. For English learners, for kindergarten levels 1 through 4, Vista Higher Learning, Connect. For English learners, grades 1 through 5, levels 2 through 4, Vista Higher Learning, Connect. For English learners, grades 1 through 3, level 1, the recommendation is Vista Higher Learning, Get Ready, Sail. For English learners, grades 4 through 5, level 1, the recommendation is Vista Higher Learning, Get Ready Soar. For English learners 6 through 8, levels 2 through 4, the recommendation is National Geographic Learning Impact. And for English learners, grades 6 through 8, level 1, the recommendation is National Geographic Learning Time Zones. And at this time, I will hand things off to my colleague, Rocio Trejo.
Thank you, Ms. Evans.
Yes.
Chair Simpson, members of the committee, I'm Rocio Trejo, bilingual curriculum specialist. I would like to begin by applauding the extraordinary efforts of classroom teachers who were part of a committee under this adoption. Their work in reviewing materials is of utmost importance. Thank you to all teachers for your work, dedication, and commitment to the students and families of MPS. I would also like to thank the parents who were able to review materials. Your lens is invaluable. Finally, I will extend my gratitude to Ms. Evans and Ms. Borges and Ms. Sadugian. This process could not have happened without their work. At this time, I will hand it over to my colleague, Sarah Borges.
Chair Simpson, members of the committee, I am Sarah Borges, English as a Second Language Curriculum Specialist. I would like to echo the recognition that my colleagues gave to the teachers and parents for their work in reviewing materials. In addition, I would like to thank Dr. Polesley, Dr. Mims Howell, Dr. Saffold, and Ms. Genny for ensuring that English as a second language classroom specialists have the instructional resources to teach students in the ESL program. The resources are based on current research and they address ways to meet the needs of students on a range of English proficiency, beginning with the students who are new to English to those who are almost fully English proficient. Through the use of the resources, students will see themselves in the curriculum and their teachers will have a comprehensive system for teaching communication skills that are based on the same subject material that students learn at grade level. Finally, the resources are aligned to the English language development standards in which K-12 teachers have been receiving professional development. At this time, we would like to take your questions.
Thank you so much for that presentation. Do committee members wish to make comments or ask any questions? I see Director Carr, Director Gokul Gandhi, and Director Leonard. So Director Carr first.
Thank you. Thank you to the administrative team. My first question, and I have a list of questions, but I want to start by asking, how does the district define bilingual education?
Administration.
Chair Simpson, members of the committee, and we define it as fluent in 2 or more languages, biased to two languages.
Director Carr, do you have a follow-up?
Yes, so my next question is, are you all able to provide us with the professional associations or the organizations that we support or hold membership in to assist with bilingual services?
Administration.
Good.
Chair Simpson, Director Carr, Rocio Trejo, thank you for that question. Bilingual education in Milwaukee Public Schools is a Spanish-English bilingual program. It happens through dual language programming, and so we have what is termed one-way and two-way pathways. The one-way dual language program primarily serves English learners with a Spanish-speaking background. And the two-way primarily it's two-way because it serves 2 groups. Those ELs with a Spanish-speaking background as well as English native speakers. And so that is the program that we offer in MPS. We have 21 schools that offer some type of dual language programming. It is a K through 12 program. And so students receive instruction in both English and Spanish, which is outlined in our content and language allocation plan that specifies what percentage of instruction is provided in each language dependent on the grade level. Additionally, we also attach a primary language of instruction to each content area also by grade level. And our office provides professional development 2 teachers that serve our students, bilingual teachers, and those components of the program, as well as the pedagogy that we follow, which is teaching for biliteracy.
Any
Administration, did you have something else you wanted to say? No? Okay. We'll go to the next person in the queue, Director Gokul Gandhi.
Thank you so much for your work on this, administration. Can you talk about the main differences between the text that we have currently and the textbook adoption now, and what makes you excited about this new textbook adoption, and how does it respond to the needs of 21st century learners?
One of the main differences with the new adoption is the alignment to standards. Our previous adoption is an older adoption. It's been about 11 years since we adopted. It was pre-Common Core, so they weren't very well aligned to the Common Core state standards. We have the revised Wisconsin standards now, but they're very parallel to Common Core. Nothing is exactly aligned to Wisconsin standards because they're new, but ours are so similar to Common Core state standards. If they're aligned to those, they're aligned to the Wisconsin standards. So that's what I'm most excited about, because teachers have had to supplement trying to address standards because there were just so many holes in the program. And this one is very well aligned, and I'm really, really excited about that. I'm also excited about the online platform. Our platform for our previous program was a little outdated, and so there's a updated electronic platform as well. Oh, and one more thing, the phonics sequence. Another thing, a lot of schools wanted to supplement using CKLA program because they felt that our previous program, Journeys, didn't have a well-sequenced phonics portion of the text. And this one, on our committee, we had classroom teachers, and we had several that taught CKLA, which was important to me because I wanted to find something where teachers wouldn't feel like they need to supplement like this new curriculum. They still need something extra. And so the teachers that were on the K2 committee, I really wanted them to hone in on, is this just as good, if not better than CKLA? And they felt it was. So I'm really excited about that we don't have to juggle additional resources because this particular resource doesn't meet all of our needs.
Director Gokul Gandhi, do you have a follow-up?
Yeah. So are there, I know that this is the first set that they've reviewed, but are there other curriculums that are aligned to Common Core standards that you have reviewed?
Chair Simpson and members of the committee, again, Tanya Evans, there are all of the resources that we reviewed were well aligned. If they weren't aligned with Common Core, they didn't even get to the committee. We used the website Ed Reports to see, this is a nonprofit organization that looks for high quality materials, and they have a very, what's the word I'm looking for? They have a very intense rubric that they're looking to see if they're well aligned. So everything that we reviewed was well aligned. One of the things that Ed Reports does not do that was critical to us is they don't look for if the texts are culturally responsive. And so that was critical to this too. We wanted it to be well aligned, but we also wanted the materials to be culturally responsive. So there was a culturally responsive scorecard that teachers used. So in addition to, all of them got well marks with the standards, but how culturally responsive was the text? So that's why this one kind of rose to the top because of the representation in the materials.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Moving on, Director Leonard.
Thank you. First of all, I'm excited about this because having been in quite a few schools that have large ESL populations, having new material that's well aligned is going to be exciting for them. So I'm sure that they'll be quite grateful when they start working with the new curriculum material. The question I have is, who is doing the professional development? How is that being planned out?
Administration.
So Chair Simpson, members of the committee, Tanya Evans, the company, the publisher, is going to be doing the professional development because we will all have to be trained on this new resource. The goal is to have our instructional coaches well trained so we can support, but we also want to negotiate professional development that we can have throughout the year as we get new educators coming on board. So we can't just have a one-time professional development training and that's it. So we want to have it throughout the year for the course of the program. That's what I'm going to be pushing for. And also, we really would like paras to get some of the training too, because they help out a lot in the classroom. I think it would be wonderful if they can receive some of the training as well. And we hope to start this summer, if this is approved, and this fall to get the teachers trained.
You had anything?
Director Simpson, Director Leonard, members of the committee, Sarah Borges, to add to what Ms. Evans said, also we provide professional development through aligned institutes, through our departments, the Department of Curriculum and Instruction, as well as the Department of Bilingual Multicultural Education. So we collaborate to ensure that teachers, school support teachers, as well as other stakeholders receive training that supplements what our vendors will be providing through the contracts.
Thank you. Director Leonard, did you have a follow-up? No? Okay. Going back to the queue, it looked like Director Carr. So I've got Director Carr, Director Peterson, and Director Gokul Gandhi. So Director Carr.
Thank you. Can you hear me? Sorry. I wanted, so one of the things that comes to mind as I'm thinking about the bilingual educational services and services for our English language learners, while I can appreciate all of the work that has been put in into the planning and the intentional selection of the curriculum, I think we missed the mark. And if we're looking at this from an equity lens, and even as a part of the ESSA, the Every Student Succeed Act, when I think about all of the demographics that are reflected in our student population, we are missing the mark and solely focusing on English and Spanish and the Latino students when we're also serving students who come from other cultural, ethnic, racial backgrounds that speak languages such as Korean, Burmese, and Arabic, just to name a few. And so I would like to, I don't know if it's possible, if we could table this for later, like what's the procedures for, or maybe I should let my fellow colleagues ask their questions. But I'm not comfortable with moving to approve this because I feel like we're missing a significant population of the students that we're serving. And I wonder if there's any way that we can infuse the cultural backgrounds of other students and families within this district, if that makes sense.
Administration, would you like to respond?
Go ahead.
Director Simpson, Director Carr, Sarah Borges. We do have other programs such as the immersion where there is the goal of bilingualism. So the immersion schools do have access to materials through the textbook adoption process. In terms of bilingual education for other languages, may I seek clarification? Could you restate the question?
Director Carr?
So how are we accommodating the students who have other languages or speak other languages as their first language? That those populations of students are growing as we speak. Specifically in my district, we have a strong Hmong population and a population of students who speak Arabic as their first language. And so I'm wondering what services beyond the immersion schools, what services are provided to accommodate and to ensure that those students are having access to high quality curriculum as well, if that makes sense.
Administration.
Chair Simpson, Director Carr, Sarah Borges, thank you for that clarification. Regarding the textbook adoption, we do have that third prong, which is English language development. I gave that summary. at the beginning. So through the ESL program, we are able to ensure that teachers have the instructional resources that they need to support those English language learners or those students who you referenced have languages other than Spanish. However, it does include our Spanish-speaking English learners as well. Through the general education curriculum that Ms. Evans talked about, as well as through the bilingual education curriculum that Ms. Trejo talked about, teachers do provide differentiated instructions. So that means that at that core or tier level, they are thinking about students whose first language is not English. And therefore, they are using the general education or bilingual education curriculum to meet the students where they are at on that range of English proficiency.
Director Carr, do you have a follow-up?
What does those resources consist of, and what supports are given to the teachers who may not be familiar with those cultural backgrounds or those languages? Like, what other supports are available for them to deliver quality services? And maybe I'm missing the mark, but that's not clear to me.
Administration.
Chair Simpson, Director Carr, Sarah Borges. We provide professional development through an aligned system of support. So teachers can request self-directed professional development. However, first and foremost, we ensure that they receive professional development throughout the year in different forms. And that is centered through academics, the curriculum and instruction department, as well as aligned efforts through specialized services and the Department of Bilingual Multicultural Education.
Chair Simpson and members of the committee, one of the things that we do is the bilingual office covers a number of all of our languages that we have within the district, and find that support to work with teachers and students through the process. So, that any language that any of our students speak within the district, we find that support through the bilingual office to work with those students. We have also been very intentional about making sure that we have increased the world language offerings throughout the district, and also our bilingual offerings. Each year we are adding more schools. We are also making sure that various languages we have provided in various school communities. So whether that is French, whether that's German, but we are making sure that our families have that opportunity for a second language as well.
Thank you. Madam Secretary, did you want to address Director Carr's question about proceeding with this item and sort of the process of adoption or tabling?
Yes. Madam Chair, members of the committee, if I'm listening to the conversation, and I'm wondering if there are specific questions that Director Carr would like to have answered prior to the full board meeting before the board takes final action on this item.
I guess I would want to see like whatever modules or resources that we have available as a part of this curriculum or textbook process to assess it and determine whether or not it's sufficient enough for our families and our students, if that's possible. And I've looked a little, I don't have access to some of that stuff. And so I was wondering if our administration can provide that. And yeah.
Madam Chair?
Yes,
members of the committee, I can certainly arrange a meeting with the administration for Director Carr to take a look at the materials.
Thank you so much, Madam Secretary. Moving on to Director Peterson.
Thank you.
Thank you. I just want to add in the last discussion, certainly one of the things that I'm sure the committee looked for is, as we said, cultural responsiveness. And I assume that went beyond just African American and Latino. Hopefully it hopefully stories within the books are cover a multiplicity of ethnicities, perhaps religions, et cetera, et cetera. And I think one of the things that we in this district should really celebrate is the fact that we have students with many, many different languages coming into our district, and we should figure out ways to integrate and to celebrate and to cherish and learn from those students. And that's something, quite frankly, in every subject area that should be done. I just had one question. Based on my experience of teaching fifth grade for many, many years, one of the things that I know that we all want to do is develop a love of reading. And the way that I found most successful was having kids read whole books. And I know in the past, even in the journeys, there were book sets at the upper grade levels so that you could have small groups reading entire books. And I was wondering what this system has, if any, in terms of promoting the reading of whole books.
Administration.
Chair Simpson, members of the committee, Tanya Evans. The series does come with some of novels. Whether we will purchase them all is a question. That would have to be a part of the contract negotiation. But that's something that we want to encourage as a district, not just with the textbook series. That's something we just want happening regularly. And so one of the things that I'm interested in promoting, and we've been working on it, but it's a gradual process, is encouraging teachers to have not just classroom libraries, but well-organized classroom libraries. So we don't want just a bunch of books on the shelf. We want them organized by genre so kids can find what they're interested in. We need more teachers doing read aloud so that they're blessing these books. I taught fifth grade for 11 years. That is my absolute love. And I read to my kids every day. And every book that I read to my students, they wanted that book. And so we can promote books, even if you don't read the whole book. If you just say, hey, I got this new book, and you just read the blurb on the back or just give a quick book talk, they want that book. So we need to do those type of promotions along the way, not just with our textbook adoption program, but this needs to be a part of our building of culture of reading in our district. We're constantly promoting MPS Reads, where we're letting teachers know, hey, these are some great books. If you're not sure what to read, here every month we come out with this list from pre-K all the way to 12th grade where we're suggesting great books. They're in our electronic library on Overdrive, so it makes it easy for teachers to access them. We're very multicultural. We're very conscious of being multicultural because we want our students to see themselves in these books. But we just need our teachers to promote more, sharing that they're here, giving kids not only access to them, but time to do some of that independent reading in class. Because I feel like if we can develop that love of reading at school, it'll carry over to home. Everyone doesn't have that parent that may be encouraging reading, and everyone doesn't have a lot of books at home. But if we get it started at school, it will carry over to home. So that's definitely something. I'm all over that, and I want to promote that, not just with our adoption, but this is just part of building a culture of reading in our district.
Follow-up, Director Peterson?
Just a thank you to the group, and the notion of a quiet reading time every day in a fifth grade classroom at least really does work if the teacher inspires the children at the same time. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Peterson. Director Gokul-Gandhi.
Yeah, just one note and then one question. So as we're looking at the ESSER funds, that 20% that is allocated to mitigate learning loss, I would love for an analysis to be done. If we bought reading materials for every language that is spoken in our district, what that would cost, so that we can address some of the things that Director Carr has been talking about from an equity lens. So Dr. Mann, I'm not sure if that's something for you to note that we can follow up with the administration on. And second, I would like to know, could you just quickly walk me through what was that culturally relevant scorecard? What did it look like? And can you highlight some of the percentages of BIPOC authors and international stories that are in this new curriculum? I would just like to hear a little bit about that.
Administration.
Chair Simpson, members of the committee, I did bring a scorecard. I brought a blank one, so I didn't bring the ones that, because each of the committees actually had to fill it out individually and then tally it, so I didn't bring that with me, unfortunately. But there is a tally for the diversity of characters And just to let you know what they have on the list as far as characters are Middle Eastern, Asian, Pacific Islanders, Black, African, Latinx, Native American, white, racially ambiguous, multiracial, and people with disabilities. So these are some of the things that they were looking for as they were looking through the book, as well as men, women, boys, girls, non-binary. And in addition to the characters, they were also looking for diversity in the authors that authored the stories in the book and that were part of the publication as well. And then in addition to that, there were different questions on here. I'll just read a couple for you of the statements that they had to look over. The curriculum features visually diverse characters, and the characters of color do not look alike. There are references to different ethnic and cultural traditions, languages, religions, names, and clothing. Diverse ethnicities and nationalities are portrayed. Not all Asian families are Chinese. Not all Latinx families are Mexican, etc. So those are some of the things that they had to analyze as they looked at these resources and mark very satisfied, satisfied, unclear, not satisfied.
Thank you. Director Gokul-Khan, did you have a follow-up?
No, thank you so much.
Thank you. And Director Carr.
Two questions. One, what is our current fiscal support? What does that look like for the bilingual program? Do you have the numbers off the top of your head, or are you able to provide me with that at a later date?
Administration.
Members of the committee, that is something that Director Carr, we will be more than happy to get with you. I just don't have the numbers at my fingertip right now, but I will be more than happy to get that to you.
And then,
go ahead. No, go ahead.
Sorry. Last question, and I promise I'll leave you all alone for this item. What are you able to provide a copy of the committee that was formed to be a part of the selection process for the textbook?
Administration.
Chair Simpson, members of the committee, we'll be more than happy to provide that as well. The list of the committees, everyone that was on the committee.
Thank you.
Thank you. And I see Matt Chasen. Oh, I'm sorry. Administration, were you done?
And Chair Simpson, members of the committee, we actually have that list with us tonight that we can make copies and get it over to you right ASAP if you would like, or we could send it tomorrow, however you want it.
Wonderful.
Tomorrow will be fine.
Great. And I see Mr. Matt Chasen here has joined us. Would you like to make a comment, Matt Chasen?
Thank you, Chair Simpson. I'm Matt Chasen, Office of Accountability and Efficiency. Because it has been a while since we've done a textbook adoption, I just want to remind the board that current board policy actually states that once you have adopted a textbook or instructional material adoption for use in schools, that it shall not be changed for 8 years thereafter. So while the last adoption was 10, it is important to recognize that you are, under current policy, obligating the use of these materials for no less than 8 years. So I just wanted to bring that to your attention. Thank you very much, Chair.
Yeah, so no pressure. Madam Secretary, do we have any public comments on this item?
We do not have any public testimony on this item. Also, relative to the comment that Mr. Chasen just provided, alerting the board of the 8-year time frame, the board does have the ability to come back and ask for additional adoptions within that time frame.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. I'd like to pass the gavel to Vice Chair Garcia.
So noted.
Thank you. And I just had a quick question about the CKLA. So are we setting that, the CKLA curriculum, aside right now as we delve into this newly adopted text, or those schools that have adopted it, are they going to be able to continue to use those resources?
Simpson, members of the committee, it would be my preference to set it aside because it would no longer be needed since we have the new adoption has a proper phonics sequence. However, you know, it could be up for discussion, but preferably I would like to see us using the one adoption. The reason that CKLA was brought on board was because we were missing that piece. But if we have an adoption with that piece, I don't see a need for that any longer.
Chair Simpson, members of the committee, one of the things that we always do when there's a new adoption, you've had people, just in this case, working with the series for the last 11 years. So it's going to be very difficult to break away. You just can't change overnight. That's our ultimate goal, is to get there. But always materials that we use, great teachers always use supplemental materials to make sure that learning is engaging for all students, and also to meet the academic needs of students. So therefore, it's not like that we're taking everything away that we have had. It's all how we work together to integrate things that are there. But just like Ms. Evans have shared, our ultimate goal is to have that one series, but we also know that good quality teaching also is a mixture of various things. So
yes, thank you for acknowledging that. It is a mixture of many things. And I would just suggest, for asking schools to set that aside, that somehow that those materials and resources are tracked by the principals, the SSTs, somebody, so that we just know where they're housed, because I know it was a great investment, and that there were some really great things, that came out of that curriculum. So we just make that as a suggestion. And then just one more thing. So when we talked about having those read alouds, if we think of that literacy block, are we still kind of emphasizing, we have some time for phonics and some time for the small groups? Is the shared reading still a part of that? And does this allow for those shared reading opportunities, or are those shared reading opportunities expected to be outside resources?
Simpson, members of the committee, Tanya Evans. So shared reading is a particular method that's done with the younger grades. Usually when you're doing shared reading, you're using like a big book where everyone is looking at that particular book, and that is a part of our reading block. We still have the instructional design of whole group, small group, whole group, where in whole group, we're teaching grade level standards, grade level skills and strategies. However, we recognize in all of our classrooms, there's a range of reading levels, and we have to pull small groups to differentiate to meet those needs. That's critical now more than ever. We're going to have some kids that, have some challenges with the virtual learning, and we have to make sure that we're meeting those diverse needs. So we'll still do whole group, because we have to expose kids to grade level, again, standards and strategies. If you teach from a deficit, if you just keep teaching them, they missed all of this, and I'm just going to give them everything they missed, you widen the gap. They're forever behind. They have to be exposed to their grade level, and you have to scaffold and support them with that, but they have to be exposed to that. Small group, one of the things we want to focus on next year is guided reading instruction. People think because they pull a small group that they're doing guided reading. Guided reading is a method. It's a certain way that it has to be done, where the kids are doing the majority of the reading. Is not the round robin reading. The kids are reading the whole text, and the teacher is coaching and taking anecdotal notes with individual students. So that's one of the things that we really want to focus in on next year. But to answer your question, that shared reading is a part of our reading block. Shared reading is a specific method. It's usually for younger kids, because like I said, it's usually with a big book. But read aloud is a part of all of it. That can be done. A read aloud can be done through high school. We just have to encourage teachers that they can do it.
Okay, thank you. And I will take the gavel back now, Vice Chair Garcia.
So noted.
And it looks like we have Director Carr in the queue. Director Carr. And Director Carr, you're muted.
I'd like to make a motion to table this item for later discussion after we receive more information.
Madam Chair?
Yes, Madam Secretary.
Just for clarity, Director Carr, is it your intent to be able to get more information prior to the full board meeting?
Yes.
Okay, so in tabling the item removes it from consideration. However, moving forward, you could forward this item to the board without recommendation from the committee. And that allows the committee to receive more information prior to taking action.
Okay. Okay, so I make a motion to forward the item without any decisions today.
Without recommendation from the
Without
committee.
recommendations today. Thank you.
Madam Secretary, prior to taking a vote on that, is there any public comment on this item?
Madam Chair, we have no public testimony on this item.
Okay, so it sounds like we have a motion on the floor. Is there any further discussion? Okay, Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
On Director Carr's motion to move this item to the full board without recommendation. Director Carr.
Aye.
Director Garcia.
Nay.
Director Gokul Gandhi.
Nay.
Director Leonard.
Nay.
Director Simpson.
No.
That's 1 aye, 3 noes. I'm 1 aye, 4 noes. The motion fails. The item is before the committee.
What is the pleasure of the committee with respect to this item?
Like to move to adopt or move to recommend by committee for voting at the board meeting.
Thank you, Vice Chair Garcia. Madam Secretary.
Just for clarity, Madam Chair, Director Garcia, is your motion to move this, move approval of the administration's recommendation?
Yes, I move to move forward the administration's recommendations for textbook adoption.
Thank you.
Any further discussion? Madam Secretary, would you please call the roll?
On Director Garcia's motion to move the textbook adoption item to the full board as recommended by the administration. Director Carr.
Nay.
Director Garcia.
Aye.
Director Gokul Gandhi.
Aye.
Director Leonard.
Aye.
And Chair Simpson.
Aye.
That's 4 ayes, 1 no. The motion passes.
Madam Secretary, next item, please.
Item number 4 is action on a request to approve the contracts for behavioral reassignment and at-risk seats with Banner Prep, Southeastern Education Center, and Lad Lake Synergy. The recommendation is that the board approve the contracts as attached to this item, effective for the 2021-22 school year.
Will administration please present the item?
Yes, Chair Simpson and members of the board. We are asking your approval of behavioral reassignments for at-risk seats at Banner Prep, Southeastern Educational Center, and Lad Lake Synergy. I will ask Bridget Chalk to provide some additional information, and after which we will be happy to answer any questions that you may have. Bridget?
Good evening, members of the committee, Marla Bernal, Communications and School Performance. The first item before you this evening is a request to approve the 1-year contract with our current behavior reassignment sites. The services that are provided at our behavior reassignment sites support students that have been reassigned from a traditional school for a temporary period of time. The 3 contracts that we have before you include Banner Prep, which serves students in grades 9 through 12. Banner Prep has been with the district since 2007. Southeastern is another partner that serves students with our behavioral reassignment program, and they have been with the district since 1999 and provide services for students in grades 6 through 8. Lad Lake, the third partner with our behavioral reassignment program, is Lad Lake. And Lad Lake has been a partner with the district since 1996 and provides services for our students in grades 6 through 12. And they also have a program that's a part of them that serves at-risk students according to the state statute, and there are 20 seats. I'll go back and just mention that each of the 3 contracts outlined in this item have the same number of seats with respect to FTEs that they've had in the past. Renewal, Banner Prep, we're seeking approval for 100 or 200 seats. And then Banner Prep is 125, Lad Lake is 110, and Southeastern is 85 FTEs. And so these are the contracts that we have before you. Any of the items that are redlined in the contract are technical updates, which include names, the grades, the term of the contract, as well as any practices that we are currently following that are reflected in the contracts. At this time, we can answer any questions that you might have regarding this item.
Thank you. Do committee members wish to make comments or ask questions? Seeing none. Madam Secretary, do we have any public comment on this item?
Madam Chair, we have no public testimony on this item.
What is the pleasure of the committee on this item?
Chair Simpson, I move to vote on the recommendation of the administration.
Thank you, Director Gokul Gandhi. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, Madam Secretary, will you please call the roll?
On Director Gokul Gandhi's motion to approve the administration's recommendation for contracts for behavioral reassignment seats and at-risk seats with Banner Prep, Southeastern Education Center, and Lad Lakes Energy. Director Carr.
Aye.
Director Garcia.
Aye.
Director Gokul Gandhi.
Aye.
Director Leonard.
Aye.
And Chair Simpson.
Aye.
That's 5 ayes. The motion passes.
Madam Secretary, next item, please.
Item number 5 is action on a request to approve the instrumentality charter school contract with Whittier Elementary, Inc. for Whittier Elementary School. The recommendation is that the board approve the attached 5-year instrumentality charter school contract with Whittier to begin on the 2021-22 school year and to end on the last regularly scheduled day of the 2025-26 school year.
Will administration please present the item?
Yes, Chair Simpson and members of the board, we're asking for your approval of the Whittier contract that's before you. And at this time, I will ask Marla Bernal to share some brief comments regarding the school, and after which we'll be more than happy to answer any questions that you may have. Marla?
Good evening, members of the committee. Marla Bernal, Communications and School Performance. The item before you, as was stated, is seeking approval for a 5-year contract with Whittier School, an instrumentality charter school with the district. Whittier has been with the district since 2001 and serves students in grades K4 through 5th grade. The contract outlines any updates that have been made throughout this process. And this is the last step in the process with respect to contract renewals. Back in January 2021, we started this process coming to the board with the full review that was presented related to the contract. And so at this time, we are seeking approval for the contract with Whittier for 5 years to serve a maximum of 225 FTE pupils beginning with the 21-22 school year. We can answer any questions that you may have related to this item.
Do committee members wish to make comments or ask questions? Seeing none. Madam Secretary, do we have any public comment on this item?
Madam Chair, we have no public testimony on this item.
What is the pleasure of the committee on this item? Director Leonard.
I move approval of the Whittier item.
Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, Madam Secretary, will you please call the roll?
On Director Leonard's motion for approval of the administration's recommendation relative to the instrumentality charter school contract with Whittier Elementary, Inc. for Whittier Elementary School. Director Carr.
Aye.
Director Garcia.
Aye.
Director Gokul Gandhi.
Aye.
Director Leonard.
Aye.
And Chair Simpson.
Aye.
That's 5 ayes. The motion passes. The next item is item number 6. Action on a request to approve the instrumentality charter school contract with Ideal Charter School for the individualized developmental educational approaches to learning, the Ideal Charter School. In December 2020, the board authorized the administration to negotiate a 3-year contract with Ideal. Tonight, the contract before you is a 5-year contract for an instrumentality charter school contract with Ideal School, Inc. to begin on the 2021-22 school year and end on the last regularly scheduled day of the 2025-26 school year.
Administration, would you please present the item?
Chair Simpson and members of the board, we are asking for your approval of the IDEA charter contract that are before you. At this time, I will ask Marla Bernal to share some brief comments, and we'll be happy to answer any questions that you may have. Marla.
Good evening, members of the committee. Marla Bernal, Communications and School Performance. Ideal Instrumentality Charter School is another charter that we reviewed during this past school year and brought before the board in January with respect to the full renewal process. At this time, the contract as well as the attachments aligned to the school are outlined before you for a K-4 through grade 8 program for a maximum of 300 students. Ideal has also been with the district as an instrumentality charter since 2001-2002 school year. As Dr. Mann stated, initially there was conversation around a recommendation for 3 years. After further discussion and a review of the compliance and contract items, we are bringing before you a contract for 5 years seeking your renewal for Ideal Instrumentality Charter School.
Thank you. Do committee members wish to make comments or ask questions? Seeing none, Madam Secretary, do we have any public comment on this item?
Yes, Madam Chair, we do have one public speaker on this item, and the speaker that we have on the platform is Jennifer Carter. Please state your name and spell your last.
Oops. Good evening. Can you hear me? Okay. Jennifer Carter, C-A-R-T-E-R. Chair Simpson, other members of the committee, and Superintendent Posley. Good evening. I'm Jennifer Carter, proud principal of Individualized Developmental Educational Approaches to Learning, or Ideal Charter School. On behalf of our students, staff, and families of Ideal School, I thank you sincerely for the opportunity to continue to provide service to the Milwaukee Public School District. We're extremely proud of our multi-age and scientific-based educational program here at Ideal School. We look forward to continued success as we move into our 20th year as an instrumentality charter of the district. Thank you again and have a great evening.
Thank you. What is the pleasure of the committee with respect to this item?
We move to vote on advance the recommendation of the board on this item.
Thank you, Director Gokul-Gandhi. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, Madam Secretary, will you please call the roll?
On Director Gokul-Gandhi's motion to approve the administration's recommendation relative to the Ideal Charter School contract, Director Carr.
Aye.
Director Garcia.
Aye.
Director Gokul-Gandhi.
Aye.
Director Leonard.
Aye.
And Chair Simpson.
Aye.
That's 5 ayes. The motion passes.
Madam Secretary, next item, please.
Item number 7 is action on a request to approve the non-instrumentality charter school contract with Milwaukee Excellence, Inc. for the Milwaukee Excellence Charter School. In December 2020, the board authorized the administration to negotiate a 3-year contract with Milwaukee Excellence, Inc. Tonight, the contract before you is for 5 years, beginning with the 2021 22 school year and to end on the last regularly scheduled day of the 2025-26 school year.
Will administration please present the item?
Yes, Chair Simpson and members of the board, we are asking for your approval of the Milwaukee Excellence Charter contract that's before you. And at this time, I will ask Marla Bernal to provide some comments, and after which we will be more than happy to entertain any questions that you may have. Marla?
Good evening, members of the committee. Marla Bernal, Communications and School Performance. The non-instrumentality charter school contract before you this evening, Milwaukee Excellence, includes the board item, red line contract, and as well as the other attachments that are aligned to the contract. We are seeking approval for the 5-year contract for Milwaukee Excellence as outlined to continue to ramp up through grade 11 in the 2021-22 school year. The contract before you is seeking approval for a maximum of 720 students at Milwaukee Excellence in grades 6 through 11, and ultimately they will get to 12th grade students in the following school year. The recommendation is that the board approve the contract for 5 years with Milwaukee Excellence Non-Instrumentality Charter School. We are happy to answer any questions that you may have about this item.
Do committee members wish to make comments or ask questions? Director Leonard.
Starting just with a question. So if I understand correctly, they're expanding their seat levels. Is that correct?
Good evening, Director Leonard, members of the committee. Yes, when Milwaukee Excellence initially proposed their educational program to the district, it was always scheduled pending board approval to ramp up a grade to get to 12th grade. And so each year they are growing a grade. And so that is what is reflected in this item this evening.
Follow-up, Director Leonard?
Just a statement, just concerns. I know this may not be totally appropriate, but when we're looking at the last situation with Milwaukee College Prep and the loss of, looks like 2,000 students, I still have concerns when we ramp these programs up and then there's a situation where we may lose another set of schools. The cost of the district is extensive and it does concern me. I'm just going to make that as a comment for now. I can't leave that one alone, to be honest with you. I'm very concerned about our numbers. I did look at the projections, so I do see that we are going to be dropping numbers into the 5,000 range over the next 3-4 years in either case. But anyway, that's just a comment. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Leonard. Administration, did you want to do make a comment on that? No?
Chair Simpson, members of the committee, no, we don't.
Thank you. Matt Chasen.
Thank you, Chair Simpson. Matt Chasen, Office of Accountability and Efficiency. The non-instrumentality charter contracts in front of us this evening have specific language that does not appear in the instrumentality contract, specifically in the Milwaukee Excellence Charter. The language appears that MPS shall conduct an annual review of charter school for compliance with the terms of this contract, including but not limited to attainment of educational goals under paragraph 1A, and report the findings of the review to the board. This language does not appear in the instrumentality charter school contracts, and I was wondering if the administration could provide some insight as to why that difference exists.
Administration.
Members of the committee, Marla Bernal, Communications and School Performance. We've instituted additional safeguards with respect to all of our charter school contracts as well as our partnership, quite frankly. And so all of the audits, the performance audits go to the board for review, as well as a report that is shared with DPI annually. And so as we continue to be more transparent, we want to make sure that the board, the school community, the city community can view those items at any time around academic performance, operational performance, as well as financial performance.
Thank you. Matt Chasen, anything else? All right. I'd like to pass the gavel.
So noted.
Thank you. So just a few comments and then I'd like to make a motion. So I know the 3 or 5 year discussion has been, something that's been very sticky for us as a board. And I have been supportive of a 3-year extension on contracts for a number of reasons. We do have to acknowledge that the instrumentality and non-instrumentality charter schools are different. The instrumentality charter schools are our staff, our professional development. They do have to follow our game plan. So if we have resolutions about Black Lives Matter or inclusiveness issues or whatever it is, our instrumentality charter schools follow the guidelines, the priorities that we put forward as a board. I don't view the 3-year contract as punitive. I view that as an opportunity for us to take a look at the programming, take a look at staffing, take a look at the school a little bit deeper in a way that where it comes before the full board. A lot can change in 3 years. We see that in our own schools. Administration, leadership can change. Students can change, the programming can change a little bit. So I don't look at it as being punitive. I look at it as an opportunity to make sure that everybody's on the same page with the direction of the school. I also kind of think of, our own educators with our effective educator plan, we're up for review every 3 years. So I just think it's a good, healthy thing for our district. We haven't really made significant policy changes to our programming for our policies for the non-instrumentality charter schools. So the motion I'd like to make is to adopt the contract with the 3-year with a 3-year extension instead of the 5-year extension. So that is my motion. Is there any further discussion?
Dr. Mann, is this when I make a substitute motion or do I wait?
Madam Chair?
Yes, Madam Secretary.
And that would be Director Garcia. Do you need, are we passing the gavel back?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, I'm so sorry. I'm passing the gavel back.
Okay, thank you so much. I just need to keep the record straight so that when the vote goes, I know who to call.
I'm so sorry.
That's no problem.
So Director Gokul Gandhi, yes.
Thank you.
Dr. Mann, I'd like to make a substitute motion.
So noted.
To keep the review to keep the motion at a 5-year contract.
So noted.
We have a substitute motion. Is there any further discussion on this item?
Sorry. Director Carr had her hand raised first.
Okay. So. Director Carr and then Director Gokul Gandhi. So Director Carr.
First things first, I want to say, if we're being honest and being intentional and really putting or prioritizing the needs of our students and our communities, this is a no-brainer to keep it at 5 year. With that said, I move approval of Director Gokul Gandhi motion to keep it at 5 years.
Madam Chair?
Yes, Madam Secretary.
And Director Carr, thank you so much. Those are statements in support of Director Gokul Gandhi's motion, and I have noted that.
Okay, Director Gokul Gandhi.
So I just have a clarifying question. So in the original proposal, this is to head to Director Leonard's question about seats. What have the seats increased, or was the original proposal, did it was the same? Was it the same number, or did the seats actually increase?
Director Gokul Gandhi, other members of the committee, Marla Bernal, Communications and School Performance. The seats that are outlined in the contract are the original seats that were proposed by Milwaukee Excellence when they came to the district several years ago. And so it simply reflects the ramp up, which was also outlined for them to increase a grade each year.
Chair Stevenson, can I ask a follow-up question? So,
go right ahead.
So the ramp up was, I just want to clarify. So the ramp up was accounted for, correct? This is not new information that's being presented to us today.
Administration?
Director Gokul Gandhi, other members of the committee, yes, the ramp up was accounted for when they initially proposed their educational program with the district.
Great. Chair Stevenson, can I just ask one quick follow-up question?
Absolutely.
And so I just want to clarify that we have the authority to continue to look at these issues every year, even if we pass a 5-year contract today, correct?
Administration?
Director Gokul Gandhi, members of the committee, Marla Bernal, Communications and School Performance. Yes, we do have the opportunity, the board has the authority to terminate a contract at any time. All of the audit performance, the academic performance is submitted to the board as well as to the Department of Public Instruction. And so that information is fully transparent for the board to take a look at and consider altering terms to a contract at any time.
Thank you for the clarification.
Madam Chair.
Yes, Madam Secretary.
Members of the committee, in addition to what Ms. Bernal spoke of, the contract also lends itself to the board being able to conduct a review of any of our schools at any time.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. Any further discussion on this item? Seeing none, I believe I asked for public testimony, but I don't want to skip that. Is there any public testimony?
We have no public testimony on this item.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. Madam Secretary, will you please call the roll?
On Director Gokul Gandhi's motion to approve the non-instrumentality charter school contract with Milwaukee Excellence, Inc. for a 5-year term for Milwaukee Excellence Charter School. Director Carr.
Aye.
Director Garcia.
Aye.
Director Gokul Gandhi.
Aye.
Director Leonard.
Aye.
And Chair Simpson.
No.
That's 4 ayes, 1 no. The motion passes.
Thank you. Madam Secretary, next item, please.
The next item is item number 8. Action on a request to approve the non-instrumentality charter school contract with Nextdoor Foundation, Inc. for the Nextdoor Charter School. The recommendation is that the board approve the attached 3-year non-instrumentality charter school contract with Nextdoor Foundation, Inc. for Nextdoor Charter School to begin with the 2021 school year and to end on the last regularly scheduled day of the 2023-24 school year.
Thank you. Administration, will you please present this item?
Yes, Chair Simpson and members of the board, we're asking for your approval of the Nextdoor charter contract that is before you. At this time, I will ask Bridget Schock to share some brief comments, and after which we'll be happy to entertain any questions that you may have. Bridget.
Good evening, Chair Simpson, members of the committee, Bridget Schock, Contracted School Services. The item before you is for a recommendation to approve a 3-year contract renewal for our non-instrumentality charter school with Nextdoor. In January, we brought forward a 3-year recommendation for renewal. The items before you outline the changes that are in the contract. The Nextdoor contract is proposing 208 FTE pupils in grades K4 through K5, and they've been a partner, a non-instrumentality charter school with the district since 2006. At this time, we can welcome any questions that you might have.
Thank you. Do committee members wish to make comments or ask questions? Seeing none, Madam Secretary, do we have any public comment on this item?
Yes, Madam Chair. We do have one public speaker, and that is Tracy Sparrow. Please state your name and spell your last name for the record.
Good evening, Chair Simpson, committee members, and members of the administration. Tracy Sparrow, Sparrow.
Thank you.
President of Nextdoor. At Nextdoor, we often say we're doing the most important work in Milwaukee, supporting the development of children's brains in those most critical early years and partnering with their families. We've been partners with the Milwaukee Public Schools for 15 years, and we appreciate the opportunity to work together on behalf of our youngest children and families. At Nextdoor, we understand that social emotional skills are the best predictor of future academic success, so we emphasize the development of those skills in our children. We also understand the critical nature of good health, and we provide support for families around the physical and dental health of the child. We provide additional support to children experiencing mental health issues, which, as we know, manifest in young children through their behavior. And we have seen these behavior challenges increase during the pandemic and have responded through increased support for children and families. As we go into the coming school year, we're developing our Accelerating Equity Plan, recognizing that after the year we have all been through, we can't approach the new school year with business as usual attitude. We know that our children, families, and staff have experienced a year like no other, and we are prepared to respond in ways that places their needs at the forefront. We're pleased to continue our partnership with the Milwaukee Public Schools and appreciate your support.
Thank you. What is the pleasure of the committee in regard to this item?
I move approval of the contract with Nextdoor Foundation Charter School.
Thank you. Is there any further discussion on this item? Seeing none, Madam Secretary, will you please call the roll?
On Director Carr's motion to approve the administration's recommendation for a 3-year non-instrumentality charter school contract with Nextdoor Foundation for Nextdoor Charter School. Director Carr.
Aye.
Director Garcia.
Aye.
Director Gokul Gandhi.
Aye.
Director Leonard.
Aye.
Director Simpson.
Aye.
That's 5 ayes. The motion passes.
Madam Secretary, next item, please.
The next item is item number 9, a request to approve the non-instrumentality charter school contract with the Causa Inc. for La Causa Charter School. In December 2020, the board authorized negotiations of a 3-year contract with La Causa Inc. And tonight, you have before you a 5-year non-instrumentality charter school contract with La Causa Inc. for La Causa Charter School to begin with the 2021-22 school year and to end on the last regularly scheduled day of the 2025-26 school year.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. Will administration please present the item?
Yes, Chair Simpson and members of the board, we are asking for your approval of the La Causa Charter School contract that is before you. I will ask Bridget Schock to share some brief comments, and afterwards we will be happy to answer any questions that you may have. Bridget.
Good evening, Chair Simpson, members of the committee. Bridget Schock, Contracted School Services. The item before you, we brought before in December for a 5-year recommendation. The item before you, after further discussion and review of the data, is to approve a 5-year contract with La Causa Charter School. Attached to this item is a detailed summary of the changes to the proposed contract, as well as the contract itself and the appendices that accompany it. We are asking for 810 FTE pupils in grades K4 through 8, and La Causa has been a partner with the district since 2003. At this time, we can welcome any questions that you might have.
Thank you. Do committee members wish to make comments or ask any questions? Seeing none, Madam Secretary, do we have any public comment on this item?
Madam Chair, we have no public testimony on this item.
Thank you. What is the pleasure of the committee with respect to this item? Director Leonard.
I move to approve the item.
Thank you, Director Leonard. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, Madam Secretary, will you please call the roll?
On Director Leonard's motion for approval of the administration's recommendation for a 5-year charter school non-instrumentality charter school contract with La Causa Inc. for La Causa Charter School. Director Carr.
Aye.
Director Garcia,
Aye.
Director Gokul Gandhi,
Aye.
Director Leonard,
Aye.
and Chair Simpson.
No.
That's 4 ayes, 1 no. The motion passes.
Thank you. Madam Secretary, next item, please.
Item number 10 is action on a request to approve an agreement with the Milwaukee Area Technical College for at-risk students. The recommendation is that the board approve the attached agreement pursuant to Wisconsin Statute Section 118.15 for the 2021-22 school year.
Thank you. Will administration please present the item?
Chair Simpson and members of the board, we are asking for your approval of an agreement with MATC to serve as students at risk of not graduating from high school. At this time, I will ask Bridget Schock to share brief comments, and we'll be happy to entertain any questions that you may have afterwards. Bridget.
Good evening, Chair Simpson and members of the committee. Bridget Shaw, Contracted School Services. MPS has partnered with MATC Emerging Scholars Program since 2000. To offer a program for students who are at risk of not graduating as defined by state statute. Students must be 16 years of age and behind in credits in order to qualify for this program. The Emerging Scholars Program provides students with an opportunity to earn credits towards graduation as well as participate in occupational courses. Students express how they, when we interviewed them, how they appreciated being on campus and in an adult learning environment. This year, the courses were conducted fully virtual for students. This is a standard item that we bring before you each year after review of the academic and organizational data. Part of the review process includes student focus groups and a presentation from MATC representatives. During the focus group, students express that they appreciate the college-like experiences and like the occupational courses related to their interests. Students indicated that the Emerging Scholars Program allows you to grow in independence and skills needed to be an adult. Based on the information and data reviewed, we are recommending approval of this item. Attached is the agreement with MATC that outlines that MATC will serve up to a maximum of 45 students who are at risk of not graduating high school. At this time, we may answer any questions that you may have.
Thank you so much. Do committee members wish to make comments or ask questions? Director Leonard.
Just out of curiosity, do we know what the rate of success is for that program?
Administration.
Chair Simpson, members of the board, Bridget Schock, Contracted School Services. Yep, so we've been able to graduate students through this program. I will tell you this year has been especially challenging being in a virtual environment. So our enrollment in the program has been lower than normal. So back in a few years back, we started with about 79 students, and we've decreased in enrollment. This year, unfortunately, due to virtual learning, where we have only 6 students that have participated in this program. But overall, we've seen good success with students being able to stay at MATC, to have post-college or post-high school opportunities, and to be able to engage in occupational coursework through an interest of area study.
Thank you. Director Leonard, any follow-up? Okay, thank you. Madam Secretary, do we have any public comment on this item?
Madam Chair, we have no public testimony on this item.
Thank you. What is the pleasure of the committee with respect to this item?
I move to adopt the recommendation of the administration.
Thank you, Director Gokul Gandhi. Is there any further discussion on this item?
I would just like to quickly say, when I was at Bradley Tech High School, I was able to see this program in action, and it really does work well for some of our students. And so I think when we think about inclusive ways of teaching and promoting high school graduation, this is, I could not speak more highly of the program.
That's really nice to hear, Director Gokul Gandhi. Thank you for sharing that. Madam Secretary, will you please call the roll?
Director Gokul Gandhi's motion to approve the administration's recommendation for an agreement with the Milwaukee Area Technical College for at-risk students. Director Carr.
Aye.
Director Garcia.
Aye.
Director Gokul Gandhi.
Aye.
Director Leonard.
Aye.
And Chair Simpson.
Aye.
That's 5 ayes. The motion passes.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. Next item, please.
Item number 11 is action on the request to approve the contracts for at-risk seats with ASADA, Grandview, Nova, and Shalom schools. The recommendation is that the board approve the attached contracts for at-risk seats with the schools to begin with the 2021-22 school year and end on the last regularly scheduled day of the 23-24 school year.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. Will administration please present the item?
Yes, Chair Simpson and members of the board, we're asking for your approval of the contract with ASADA, Grandview, Nova, and Shalom for at-risk seats. At this time, I will ask Bridget Schock to share brief comments, and afterwards, we'll be happy to answer any questions that you may have. Bridget.
Good evening, Chair Simpson, members of the committee, Bridget Schock, Contracted School Services. The item before you is a request to approve the contracts for ASADA, Grandview, Nova, and Shalom to provide high-quality educational programming for students who are at risk of not graduating high school, which is outlined in Wisconsin Statute 118.5. Students who apply to one of these four programs must meet at least two of the following criteria. They must be 1 or more years behind their age group and the number of credits they've obtained, 2 or more years behind their age group in basic skills, habitually truant, they could be parents or adjudicated youth. The attachments to this item include the contracts for each of the schools, along with the accompanying appendices. Each of the four programs offer a learning experience for students to meet the academic and social emotional needs. The schools have been valued partners with Milwaukee Public Schools for decades to serve our young people who are at risk of not graduating. ASADA High School has been a partner with the district since 1992. Their current contract is up to a maximum of 120 FTE pupils. ASADA has increased its enrollment over a period of time during the 3-year term that it's currently in. ASADA has a restorative approach to learning and infuses African American cultural studies in each of its courses. They have a well-established visual arts program, which they are strengthening with community partnerships. Grandview High School has been a partner with the district since 1988. For over 30 years, they have provided a robust curriculum and flexible scheduling to meet the needs of students they serve. Grandview's current contract is for 240 FTE pupils. Grandview meets the enrollment each year of their contract. They focus on relationships and offer a variety of unique programming that is individualized for each student. Nova High School has been a partner with the district since 1993. Nova's current contract is up to a maximum of 110 FTE pupils. Nova has increased its enrollment over the current contract term. Nova provides a focus on vocational job-embedded opportunities that allows flexible scheduling, apprenticeship, and internships. Nova also provides employability skills and courses designed to meet the whole child, which they are key to a successful work experience. And Shalom High School was our first partnership school and was established in the district in 1986. For 35 years, Shalom has served our young people in the city of Milwaukee with generations of students graduating from this program. Shalom's current contract is up to a maximum of 100 pupils. Shalom continues to meet its enrollment each year of the contract. Shalom offers a dual pathway for obtaining credits towards graduation through its skills, project-based learning opportunities, and courses. Shalom has evolved in its program over time to meet the current needs of our youth. The attached appendices will provide further detail about each of the school's programming, along with the red line contract that outlines the proposed changes. Some of the highlights of those changes include just some DPI clarity on the instructional minutes. The enrollment has been reflected just to align with the state statute. Graduation requirements to allow for flexibility in programming to re-engage our young people in the learning opportunities. There's been some updates to their academic performance measure related to reading and math. And there's been an update in the recovery of attendance funds that we recover to allow some time for to fix any needs of meeting that attendance requirements. At this time, we may answer any questions that you might have.
Thank you so much. Do committee members wish to make comments or ask questions? See no hands. Madam Secretary, do we have any public comment on this item?
We have no public testimony on this item.
Thank you. What is the pleasure of the committee on this item?
Move to adopt the recommendation of administration.
Thank you, Vice Chair Garcia. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, Madam Secretary, would you please call the roll?
On Director Garcia's motion to approve the administration's requests for contracts for at-risk seats with Asada, Grandview, Nova, and Shalom. Director Carr.
Aye.
Director Garcia.
Aye.
Director Gokul Gandhi.
Aye.
Director Leonard.
Aye.
And Chair Simpson.
Aye.
That's 5 ayes. The motion passes.
Thank you. Madam Secretary, next item, please.
Item number 12 is a report with possible action regarding the Climate Justice Curriculum Advisory Committee and the District Sustainability Team. This is an informational item, and although it has been noticed for possible action, no action is required.
Thank you. Will administration please present the item?
Chair Simpson and members of the board, at this time, we're pleased to share a quarterly report regarding the progress of the Climate Justice Curriculum Advisory and District Sustainability Team. Before turning it over to the team of Rochelle Zanderin of Office of Academics and Angeline Koch of the Facilities and Maintenance, I would like to thank the two of them for the outstanding work and all of those individuals who have contributed to this important work. At this time, Rochelle.
Chair Simpson and members of the board, Rochelle Sandrin, Science Curriculum Specialist. Since the last report, the curriculum writing has moved forward and curated lessons have been linked to science standards across grade levels. The connections will be added to the updated pacing guides that will accompany the new science resource adoption for grades K through 8 and most high school science courses. The curriculum writing team will move to a support and maintenance role next school year, and the writing team will be expanded to bring in additional content areas, with our next focus being to bring in English language arts and social studies connections. The Climate Justice Curriculum Advisory Committee reached out to the Superintendent Student Advisory Committee to determine how this important work can intersect, and the committee can support and amplify the work of the students, particularly in regards to planning for Earth Day 2022. The groups will communicate to develop a plan for this work. The committee also submitted a district position statement, mission and vision for this work, as well as a parent letter to address any concerns that may be shared with schools. Both the advisory committee and the curriculum writing team will continue to meet through June, take a break for the month of July, and resume meetings in August. The advisory committee will meet quarterly for the 2021-2022 school year. The curriculum writing team will continue monthly meetings. Now I will pass it to Angeline.
Thank you, Rochelle. Good evening, Chair Simpson and members of the committee and Dr. Posley. Again, my name is Angeline Koch and I am the Sustainability Project Specialist for the district. I am happy to report that the district sustainability team also continues to meet virtually every month. The district sustainability team reviewed the sustainability plans from over a dozen school districts from across the country in order to curate a robust inventory of exemplars and garner a functional understanding of the ways in which similarly sized school districts are incorporating sustainability initiatives into their planning and operations. The most recent meeting centered on creating a template for MPS departments to utilize in drafting sustainability goals. The individual MPS department sustainability plans will eventually be compiled into one district sustainability plan. In addition, our community partners, Reflow and Arts at Large, have been working with a dynamic team of great MPS high school student interns to draft a student survey designed to capture and give voice to our high school students about their thoughts and interest in sustainability initiatives in their schools, their communities, and exploring career pathways to participate in the green economy. Thank you for this opportunity and for your support. This concludes our report, and we'd be happy to answer any of your questions.
Thank you. If it's all right with the committee, I'd like to let Director Peterson speak, if he would so choose. I know he got the ball rolling on all of this. Director Peterson, would you like to make any comments?
Yeah, yes, thank you very much. First of all, I want to thank Rochelle and Angeline for their great leadership in this process. And without them, this wouldn't have happened. I just say that on the curriculum side, I think we're moving forward. A lot to learn and a lot to share with teachers. And on the sustainability side, it's really a pleasure to see silos broken down and having nutrition services, procurement and risk management, business and transportation services, facilities and maintenance, all getting together, sharing ideas, and starting to plan how we can become more sustainable. And I just want to mention, Angeline mentioned the survey that the high school students working with Reflow participated in. And I was impressed because I was at a meeting earlier today where I was told that 1,700 students completed that survey in English and another 100 completed it in Spanish. And that I look forward to seeing the results. It's about how they view climate justice issues. I think we're onto something here. And so I appreciate everyone's support, including the board's support as we continue next year. That part of this will be in the budget in terms of giving support. And hopefully we can expand and be a model for the nation in a couple of years. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Peterson. All good stuff. In the queue, it looks like we have Director Gokul Gandhi and Director Vice Chair Garcia. So we'll start with Director Gokul Gandhi.
Thank you so much for your work. This is really important as we know that the climate threat becomes more and more pressing. Just two things, as we renew contracts and see who we're working with, I love the work that Reflow and Arts at Large does. Both of those organizations are headed by white men. There are organizations in our community that are led by BIPOC people. And so I would really like to push us to think how we can partner with organizations that are led by people who look like our students and have come from the communities that our students come from. So just, something to keep forefront in our mind. And secondly, I'd love to hear, as we're getting this American Recovery Money Act, there is, we have a lot of infrastructure changes to our buildings that need to be done, right? I think it's around $1.3 billion of changes. So how can we think, how can we dream big? How can we look at what the new climate technology is for our buildings and how we can incorporate some of that and start to advocate for those world-class technologies that our kids deserve, and what would it look like for our district and our buildings to be the preeminent leaders in this space. Those are just the two considerations, but thank you again for all the work you've done.
Great. Administration, would you like to respond?
Thank you, Chair Stevenson and members of the committee. Angeline Koch, the Sustainability Project Specialist. Thank you, Director Gokul Gandhi, for keeping those issues forefront, and they are at the forefront of our work, both Rochelle and my work. One of our community partners is Compost Crusader, which is led by a female nonprofit leader, and so we do have great collaborations, particularly with farmers, urban farmers, who are helping to collaborate with Vincent High School and North Division Greenhouse. And then with regard to the funding for the facilities, it's an opportunity to provide more efficient HVAC and other items, which is very important, as well as the work we're doing with our green infrastructure projects. We are removing acres and acres of impervious asphalt and replacing it with green infrastructure, which helps, of course, create better, cleaner runoff into our natural resources and areas where our children are playing. And those projects are distributed across the city, high schools and grade schools. And so we're very proud of that work. And the funding that's available from the COVID funding, we would like to support those as well with outdoor classroom spaces.
Thank you for that response. Director Gokul Gandhi, any follow-up?
No, let's just celebrate that and get that in the news. I mean, people should know about that. That's amazing work. So I just let's get our schools the credit they deserve.
Agreed. Vice Chair Garcia.
Yeah, my question is just very, specific, saying that we just had a really robust conversation around the curriculum adoption for literacy. And I know that there's a lot of work that's being done to do the updated, pacing guides that are going to accompany a new science textbook adoption. So if I could just get from administration kind of like a timeline of what that textbook adoption for science is looking like, just so that we have an idea as to the just how are we adapting this as we're looking at, the adoption of new resources and tools for our educators, as we continue to center climate justice, which is very much a priority for us.
Administration.
Director Garcia, Chair Simpson, members of the committee. The timeline for the science rollout is that we will be sharing this week with the teachers what the units will look like next year, so they know any shifts in standards alignment from what we've used in the past. We have professional development that we are scheduling between July 7th and July 30th for all teachers, with additional follow-up for professional development during the school year. And by the time the teachers come back, we will have at least the first unit of the science instructional guides updated and outlined for them. And one of the things that we're including in those instructional guides, besides the core resource, are the connections to the local community to increase that diversity and make it not just Wisconsin, but Milwaukee. We will be adding in the climate justice connections. And we will be adding in a number of other things, field trips and other local experiences students can have to connect to that. And with the climate justice resources, we've been very purposeful about selecting supplementary texts that highlight issues that are important in the city of Milwaukee and affect our students. And we also have a science course called Environmental Health, which is entirely directed at the schools where it happens to dealing with issues that are of concern to students, exposure to lead on neurological development, among other projects that they take on that are very much local and important to our population.
Thank you. Vice Chair Garcia, any follow-up?
And then what year are we in currently in the current science textbooks that we have? And I guess when are we looking at a new curriculum textbook adoption?
Administration.
Director Garcia, Chair Simpson, members of the committee, Rochelle Sandrin, Science Curriculum Specialist. We just passed the adoption last month. Kindergarten through 5th grade, actually kindergarten through 8th grade, the district adopted text was 18 years old. So we are very excited to have a current resource. And we did have supplementals, but to have a core. And then the high school adoptions, the oldest one that we replaced was chemistry, which was from 2008. And then we also added additional resources. We've never had a text for earth science, for botany, or for anatomy and physiology. And we were able to add those texts, and they are available to meet the needs of our bilingual Spanish classrooms as well as our English classrooms.
Thank you. Thank you. Director Gokul Gandhi.
Just a question. Has there been any inquiry into adding, whether it's supplemental information or in the textbooks, a chapter or something on climate activism? So not only teaching our students and our young people what they can learn, but then also, whether it's the climate strike or a climate march or doing something locally, there's been such an influx of that across the globe. So could you speak a little bit to that?
Administration.
Director Gokul Gandhi, Chair Simpson, members of the committee. We have, and I don't have it with me, but I can definitely share it with the board. We have the grade bands broken up from a lens of what we can do as individuals. So starting with kindergarten through 2nd grade, what they can do at a personal level to impact. And we really hit stride with large scale activism when they get to high school. So we kind of scale up at each grade band. And yes, the focus isn't just to share horrible news, but to tell you there is something you can do about it. We thought that was very important for our kids to have some hope and see how they can make change.
That's awesome. Thank you.
That is awesome to hear. Good for our kids. Any other board directors at this time? Madam Chair or Madam Secretary, do we have any public comment on this item?
We have no public testimony on this item.
Thank you. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, this was not an action item. So Madam Secretary, next item, please.
The next item on the agenda is item number 13, a report with possible action on the regional showcase, the high school region. This is an informational item, and although it has been noticed for possible action, no action is required.
Will administration please present this item?
Simpson and members of the board. We end this evening's agenda with the regional showcase. This month, we are featuring Riverside University High School, and we are welcoming Principal Lasky, who will be joining us on the presentation. But at this time, I would like to ask Dr. Jennifer Smith to begin the presentation. Dr. Smith.
Good evening, Chair Simpson and members of the SASE Committee. My name is Jennifer Smith, and I serve as the Regional Superintendent for the High School Region. I'm pleased to present to you the High School Region Showcase this evening. The High School Region comprises 25 schools, including Montessori, Immersion, International Baccalaureate, Bilingual, Career and Technical Education, Community Schools, Multi-Level Schools, and Alternative Schools. The High School Region serves approximately 20,000 students in diverse settings to meet the varied needs of our students. To do this, we offer a variety of programs and services to support our students towards their graduation goals, providing real-world as well as enrichment experiences along the way. The work of the High School Region is supported by two IODs, Mr. Greg Agumbawali and Mr. Maurice Turner. The leaders of the High School Region and our regional team are committed to the implementation of the 5 priorities of success. Our work encompasses all of these areas daily with a focus on increased student achievement front and center in our responsibility to support every student towards on-time graduation. This evening, I'm joined by one of our dedicated leaders, Mr. Jeff Lasky. Mr. Lasky is serving in his 2nd year as the principal at Riverside. On this slide, you will see the demographics of the school as well as a picture of the historic building on Milwaukee's east side. I will now turn the presentation over to Mr. Lasky to highlight the programs, opportunities, and a few of the successes that students at Riverside are experiencing. Mr. Lasky?
I don't see, I'm not getting him on the screen. Is he muted?
Madam Chair, it appears that the microphone is muted.
You are muted.
All right. Good evening, Chair Simpson and members of the committee. Jeff Lasky, principal of Riverside University High School. Thank you for the opportunity to speak with you and highlight some of the great things going on at RUHS. While this past year has been challenging, Riverside has continued to hold strong to the belief in the importance of preparing students for life after high school with a focus on college preparatory curriculum. Since its founding as Milwaukee High School in 1868, we have heavily focused on exposing students to social justice issues and helping guide our students towards the development into adults that can positively impact not only the local community, but also the world community in a thoughtful and productive way. While Riverside does focus on preparing students for their college experience, our students do not need to wait until graduation to start earning credits. While attending RUHS, students can earn college credits through our advanced placement program, Project Lead the Way, and other dual enrollment options. This year, we really focused on preparing students for success in our advanced placement program through the implementation of pre-AP for all of our 9th grade students in both English and math. We also offer our students a chance to earn academic honors while attending our school through our AP Capstone Diploma program, as well as by earning the distinction of being recognized through obtaining the Seal of Biliteracy at graduation. While academics is the main focus of our UHS, we also work to develop the whole student in the 4 years that they're with us. Many of our students work to gain admittance to the National Honor Society or to serve in student council. We also encourage students to engage in many of the extracurriculars, including both a comprehensive athletic offering and an extensive music program. As mentioned earlier, our UHS started as Milwaukee High School in 1868. Since then, we have been both known as both East Division and Riverside. In 1984, we were renamed Riverside University High School in recognition of our special relationship with UWM. Today, we continue our partnership with UWM, collaborating with their Honors College. In addition to working with UWM, we have also partnered with the Medical College of Wisconsin and MSOE. Our partnerships with institutions of higher education in the Milwaukee area, while having many benefits for our students, serve to ease the transition from high school to college. In addition to partnering with College Possible and Gear Up that assist our students in navigating the university entry process, We also work with groups that assist us in enhancing the educational experience of students while they're attending RUHS. We work with TEALS and have a long-standing partnership with the Urban Ecology Center, allowing students to explore subjects from computers to the natural beauty of Wisconsin. We also like to mention our ongoing relationship with Rockwell Automation, who has been so supportive of our robotics teams throughout the years. And finally, our very own Riverside High School Foundation, which is comprised of past graduates and community members who have found ties to Riverside throughout their lives. They work to support both staff and students through items ranging from building improvements to grants to student scholarships and a lot more. The partnerships that we maintain are part of the RUHS experience and are integral to our identity as an educational institution. While a lot of items could have gone under points of pride when discussing RUHS, I would like to highlight two items that have been particularly noteworthy over the past year. First, we have had the opportunity to apply for partnership with the Schuler Foundation. This amazing institution works to further success of individuals by investing in high-achieving underrepresented students and top-tier liberal arts colleges. While the application process is long and still ongoing, we are pleased to have been selected for the opportunity to apply to such an elite group working to further the academic success of students. Second, this is our first year hosting the group called RedGen. RedGen is a student-led group that works to support students' mental health and well-being by working to create a school culture and student culture that is supportive of student needs. This group has tackled many issues this year, but included in this presentation for your review is a social justice project featuring RUHS student voices reading Still I Rise by Maya Angelou and photos from the community surrounding RUHS addressing concerns over racial injustices this past year. RedGen students from Riverside will also be featured later this month on PBS discussing their work. RUHS works hard to provide students with a complete academic experience. While there are areas of growth, there are also aspects that warrant noting. From the 16-17 school year to the 18-19 school year, RUHS grew by 1.2 in the overall state score. In addition, we have made gains in closing the gap section of the report card for the past 2 years and now exceed the state average. Finally, our post-secondary readiness score also exceeds the state, as evidence of our focus on successfully transitioning our students from high school to the collegiate experience.
Thank you, Mr. Lasky. I will close by highlighting some of the opportunities for growth in the high schools and the strategies that are currently in place, both virtually and in person, to address them. Attendance for the high school region is at 80% year to date. While this is an increase from last year, we are still concerned with the students who are habitually truant, contributing to absenteeism and lower academic achievement at many schools. In the virtual setting, we have engaged many different job groups to assist with calling absent students and documenting efforts to get our students logged into their classes daily. This has been an effective strategy since it's a personal call in addition to the auto dialer, and many of the staff identified to do the calling are those individuals that have positive relationships with our students. We've also focused on clear and consistent procedures for attendance, ensuring that we are capturing accurate data for students that are in person and virtual. Graduation rates is another data point that our region is focused on. While we have seen an increase over the last several years on graduation, we do not want to become complacent in this work. We continue to support students with meeting the college and career requirements as well as the world language requirements, and are encouraging students to take advantage of our Edgenuity offerings for credit recovery. ACT is our most critical data point measuring the success of our high schools on the state report card. In our virtual schedules, we were successful in testing our juniors in person with 6 different testing dates to ensure the safety of our students and proctors in this process. Students are also continuing to work on their early college programs through M-Cubed, and internships are being offered to students with the related coursework. Finally, our schools continue to have a focus on building positive school climate. This includes establishing relationships with our students through programs such as Freshman Bridge, PBIS, and one-to-one meetings with their counselors. This, with the help of our support staff, is building a strong school spirit in our 25 schools.
Even during the virtual learning, we were able to celebrate student achievements and build their school pride through spirit weeks, class competitions, virtual dances, pep rallies, and grade level meetings. With the return of about 40% of our high school students, we literally rolled out the red carpet at our high schools to welcome them back in style. On behalf of Mr. Ogumbawale and Mr. Turner, I thank you for the opportunity to present to you tonight the work of Riverside University High School, as well as our other high school programs. We are proud of what they do each and every day for our students. At this time, I'm able to answer any questions that you may have.
Thank you so much for that presentation. Do committee members wish to make any comments or ask questions? Seeing none. Madam Secretary, do we have any public comments?
We have no public testimony on this item.
Thank you. Any further discussion? No? Okay. Madam Secretary, next item, please.
Madam Chair, that was the last item on tonight's agenda.
Awesome. There being no further business before this committee, this meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everybody, very much for your hard work tonight.